Hey there, rulers! Welcome back after 2 long weeks of Force of Will 2, the Teacher's Lounge, your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast featuring myself, Jeremy Franklin, and I am joined, as always, by Aaron Miles, who may or may not also be playing Hearthstone right now.
No, that's just the normal face.
Josh
I just
Patton,
look like that sometimes.
and once again, the ghost of Derek Mukwineza and Dark Alice, the icon.
What's up?
Hey, so before we get started, I just want to say volume is coming in loud. Okay, I will adjust. Let me know how things change. Thank you, guys. That helps a lot to know. So, obviously, before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you for you all joining and hanging out with us tonight. Someone else has audio and is hearing my stream, so someone else needs to mute their computer. Derek. The ghost of Derek causing problems over here. So, if you feel like supporting the channel and getting access to those cool emoji like you see some of our members in the chat using right now, you can click that join button down below to become a member of the channel. Gets you all kinds of unique perks, as well as access to all those custom emojis. The more members we have, the more emojis we get to unlock, and I have a lot more chibi Force of Will characters to turn into emojis. So please go ahead and click that. It's a minimum $2 all the way up through $30, and it just goes directly to support the channel, and we super appreciate it. So with that out of the way, unexpectedly, yesterday, maybe Saturday, I think is when it happened, the entire set for Decisive Battle of New Valhalla dropped on the database, and with it we got to learn about the 10 new uncommons. All of these 10 new uncommons, we're going to be going specifically over these 10. First off, we got to try to come up with a name for these things in terms of what they're called, because we always have had some kind of community term for what the types of stones, like filter kind of stuff, has been. So clearly a round of 10 units or resonators also needs to have that name, but these are going to be the way we are getting dual colors in this set, and for at least the next year. So just initial thoughts before we dig in too much. What do you guys think about these new kind of 4/4 resonators?
I mean, it's got to be the 10 Commandments, right? Like, that's what we're going to end up calling these.
Oof.
Like 100%, right?
That's
it worked out really well in 7 Deadly Sins.
That's a really good one. I like that.
Yeah, no, these things are going to be powerful. Like they set the mood like for what we were trying to do in this set anyway with these dual color high gods. So like I think it'll work, and it'll be fun for the next year or so to even play with these going into the next.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
I mean, we had 2-color altar decks without any kind of fixing, so obviously these are just going to pump those up a little bit, make them more consistent and whatnot. I think that there are definitely ones that people think is going to make a deck that isn't actually going to make a deck. But
I think for me, the thing that I'm most excited about is that, weirdly enough, it's very interesting that it's coming out into an off season leading up to Worlds. So one, this is going to make Worlds really interesting because we found out that Worlds is going to be Rhea Cluster and New Valhalla for New Frontiers. So these are all going to be, so like we currently have the card pool now for Worlds. Congrats.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of weird options there. And it also interestingly makes other decks suddenly able to splash secondary colors, which up to this point in time has been pretty much exclusively altar decks in terms of being able to do it comfortably. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what comes out of that. But also, I'm just excited to dink around with a bunch of different stuff.
Oh, I'm so excited. My body
There's
is
so
ready.
many cool things. Level 100 games. At least they had the common sense to make the UB one turn blue stones into black and not the other way around. Yeah. So then if you're going to play Perfect Loki and you want to get access to black blue, you have to be base blue stones. So
Yeah.
you don't get to just be like, oh yeah, Perfect Loki, alter Perfect Loki, sweet, my black ones turn now blue, Perfect Loki forever. We are going to go by each of them one by one and kind of talk about our thoughts as well. But what are your thoughts in general in terms of how this might affect what we even see in terms of deck construction? Because these are not stones; they are taking the place of cards in the main deck, and so in that way they're not the most consistent way of getting to that second color. It just is an option to have continuous access in that way. So, do you guys think this is going to change deck construction at all? Are we going to see like heavy 2-color decks, more splashes? What do you think?
I definitely don't think it's going to impact it nearly as much as people think it is, and that to me, lies solely on the power of machines. Where,
Sure.
like, if you're trying to build these 2-color decks, and, like, even though you have, like, main deckable mana fixing for it now, I think that, like, machines is going to be such a powerful deck. And, like, they can still splash green or whatever, maybe even black, depending, whichever blue color they feel like splashing, probably going to end up being green. But I think machines are really well poised to kind of take advantage of that. And the fact that one of these is a really good machine just makes it even easier for them.
Yeah.
Like, just a 1 mana, I have 4/1/1 counters. That's exactly what machines want out of their 1-drops.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
for
that's not even the only machine. It's like the concept now of these machines are 0/0s entering the field with counters. It's automatically changing the game for machines. But yeah, I think you're going to see two different things. Like on a local level, you are going to absolutely see everyone go like heavy into 2 colors. But in the competitive scene, like I think everybody realizes that if you tried that route, you'd get punished very hard. These are not as consistent as running dual stones or anything along those lines. So there are at best 3 or 4 of these that will make competitive impacts, maybe
Sure.
on the fringe of rogue. It really depends on what that second effect is. But I mean, but above all, they are going to be a blast to build with for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek, your thoughts?
So I'm looking at these cards right now. I think the ones that that have like the good secondary effect, like I'm looking at one of them that banishes to produce a Fire Moon edition. Like things that have those good secondary effects. I can see those ones potentially having more impact than other ones. Like say banish this, give target J resonator +3/+3. So I think it'll be interesting to see where things turn out. It might end up being kind of like GP Pennsylvania, where there was like Alter, like everyone heard about Alter and tried building all these different Alter decks, like Lucifer Alter, Lich Alter, and then some crazy idiot decided to bring Brunhild Alter.
Yeah,
And
what
so
the crap was
it
up with
might-
that guy?
All right, so it might turn out to be something like that, where someone finds something that's just spicy enough that might work, that just ends up taking everything. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Kind
for
of
sure.
preluding to that, like this would actually be interesting because the difference between Pennsylvania and Worlds is like 3 months in the meta.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
even though there's going to be like a couple of overseas events and all that, and maybe a couple here.
I think those are
But,
mostly cluster though. The ones overseas anyway.
Yeah, but so like the data is going to be small, but the months playing in this set are going to be way different than we've had in the past, especially for a Worlds scene. They usually only have like a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think Aaron, you can attest to this. I think the most ever testing time we actually had with a full set getting ready for Worlds was maybe 3 weeks
Yeah, probably around that.
when we actually
And like
figured out
most
what
of
all the
it's
cards
kind of
were.
hard because like pretty much everybody goes to Japan like the week leading up to it, and like you don't want to spend your week in Japan testing.
Yeah, so everyone
Although
just
I
kinda-
did, and that it worked out for me. But
Yeah, I think the thing that's going to be the most interesting in terms of looking at decks that people play at the local level as well as maybe tries to bring in Rogue is how much of the deck suddenly becomes dedicated to the splash, right? Because not only are you taking cards out of your main concept to try to create this potential secondary color, but you also have to be like, well, if there are cards in my deck that I would need this to be able to play. Right, and so how much of your like core do you take out for like a cheeky kind of splash? Weirdly enough, I think the deck that doesn't care about that hardly at all is Isis, because she has other ways to reduce red-white, and weirdly enough, white has the best protection. So like when she's like first getting accelerated to be this kind of control deck or kind of have the multicolor fixing, the natural cheap white stuff is going to be stuff that protects her engine. And so I definitely think you could see an Isis deck going into like this heavy dual color split.
hold on
But
now, you're talking about Isis as the red-white ruler when Ushua Brunhild has been in front of us for the last 4 months. What is wrong with you?
Ushua Brunhild, huh? The deck that
How else are we
everyone
gonna?
was...
How are you gonna play red-white and not put Ushua Brunhild in there? You've
The
got
deck that
20,
everyone
you
was-
20 moons that gets you 20 mana. Ushua 6 of it. It's simple math.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I forgot about turn 1 tree, turn 2 Brunhild flip into Ushua combo. I
You
forgot
don't
about
need
it.
stones when you got moons.
I thought, wait, can't you only produce white if your ruler is Isis though?
Correct.
Off the Moon editions? Yeah, get out of here.
Don't tell Aaron that. This is fun.
But no, I'm actually really excited about it because one of the things about building for the channel has been I think probably the hardest part of this entire cluster has been the fact that I've been locked into 10 rulers, and because it's been single color, every set maybe gives each ruler like 3 to 4 cards to really be able to goof around with in terms of changing a complete and total deck idea as opposed to just basic support. So I'm really looking forward to this set because I essentially just got 10 new rulers to build with because of these new dual color combinations. And because I'm playing for the channel, not competitively, I'm going to get greedy as hell. And that's going to be like that's going to get super fun for me.
I bet it's 5-color good stuff.
Yeah, I'm also going to play 5-color Adam good stuff. My boy needed something. But I think the TCG Scrubs mentioned this, that there are definitely going to be decks that take more advantage of these filters for their rune deck. And I think we even mentioned this before the podcast, the idea of like a safe splash for machines could be just to bring back Yokai Festival. Because we saw Green Blue Machines for a while. They were playing Yokai Festival to bring out the Jizo statues, so they had this kind of repeatable 1/1 counter generation. But it got weird because trying to get green stones, and then you need blue, and then but with this new Clockwork Girl, they can just have a single copy of Yokai Festival in the rune deck, and then still just be playing the basic blues, knowing that sure they might dead draw into a Jizo, but they don't have to worry about dead drawing the stones as much as they necessarily had to worry about before. So that could be definitely something pretty interesting.
Thinking ahead a touch, I got a feeling Yokai Festival might be too slow for machines.
I mean, it might be.
I think machines is going quick.
Just gonna
I don't know, we got all these 0/0s and we have a 1-drop rune that turns them into 9/9s. Yay!
Excuse me, a 0/0 will die as soon as it becomes a 0/0.
Not when it enters the field with +1/+1 counters, bro.
So you want to make it a 13/13 with
I want to make it
Monstrify? Are you trying to play Monstrify over here?
Big son. I was already doing it with my Guinevere. This is all day.
The look on Aaron's face right now is just like completely.
I'm on the
TCG
TCG Scrubs website because they have all the GP results, and I'm looking for Josh Patton's top 8 with machines, and I'm not seeing any, and that really explains the Monstrosify in the rune deck to me.
Welcome to the rural school, where even in the teacher's lounge we give each other constant shit.
Well, I guess I gotta go win Canada with machines.
You're bitching out of Arizona too?
Let me see. Let me look at all of the chats that I talked with Josh about what he's playing at Toronto. Nope, no machines. I don't see any machines being mentioned here, buddy.
Because the cards aren't out yet.
But no, I'm very excited for what people are going to play with. I also just think it's going to make the local level just incredibly refreshing, if I'm being honest. So I'm very excited about that. So with that, we got the 10 Commandments idea from Aaron. Anybody else have any suggestions for what these 10 cards could be called? I've just been calling them the Filter Boys, but that seems a little wonky.
Sounds like a really bad boy band.
Yeah, I agree. The 10 Commandments looks a lot better. Let's see if anybody in the chat has an idea for what we could coin the community phrases, because we got to get ahead of the curve on what we call them, because the first public figure to name them usually gets to keep the name.
That's how we stuck with shit bricks.
Yeah, that's how we got stuck with that. Even though I like to call them countdown stones, but no one likes that idea.
I love shit bricks.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
The 10 Commitments. Someone's called them the Fixers. Josh, you got an idea?
No. Like as soon as
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. I'm gonna.
Wow.
That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Like we're in the set with gods, and we got 10 of these. Like Force Will playing this. They emailed me in the middle of the night. They said, "Hey, Aaron, here's what you're gonna go on the Roller School podcast. You're gonna be the first one to open your fucking mouth and say these words. Here's $1 million." I'm like, "Thanks, Force Will."
Oh man, that's pretty
So,
good.
Lois, you're coming to Arizona now?
Okay, so I think we've coined it now. We have the 10 Commandments. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in to look at some of these. I'm going to shift us here on the screen
Tell
a
us,
little
Jeremy,
bit.
what is our first commandment?
Our first, we're gonna go in order that they somehow show up on my screen. So our first one here is Angel of Zeus. So it is the white-blue one drop 4/4 flying angel. All of the effects, I'm not going to read them a bajillion times. Just know that it's the white-blue. So your light stones are water magic stones too and can produce blue. Specifically light magic stones. So you can't be like, Magic Stone of Hope I don't think counts as a light magic stone, does it? So
I don't think so.
It won't produce. It suddenly is not a 3-colored stone. And it says, as long as there is a resonator, chant, and addition, and magic stone in your grave, this card gains quick cast, and resonators you control cannot be banished by spells or abilities. Entities you control cannot be banished by spells or abilities your opponent controls. The first thing I think of when I see this card is get cucked, Athenia. Like, yeah. I'm really excited to quick cast one of these in response to my opponent grabbing an Athenia. Just be like, yeah, okay, nope. We had a good time.
So I'll go ahead and hit this one first. So, like, this card only works with the rabbit.
Atom,
like,
yeah, it's specifically for
the
Atom.
Atom Resonator. No, the Atom Resonator, like, period. And you had to have figured out a way to get it into the grave.
Well, you
if
just
not, this thing...
You play Dark Alice. And
no, I know Dark Alice, Sapling, but I'm telling you, like, at this point, you're building a deck around getting an Atom into the grave, right?
Yeah,
so, like,
sure.
I'm putting that context down. Like, this card doesn't do it itself. You have to build a deck around it, right?
For sure.
So, like, with that, if you are building a deck around this, one of the biggest things that I like about it is that it is quick cast. When we're talking about these 4/4 1-drops, I think the biggest thing that I'm going to focus on is their vulnerability, right? These things are going to get picked off pretty quick. And when we were talking about how much you're going to build to these 2 colors, the evasive nature of these 1-drops is important. So being able to flash this as end of turn, it limits the amount of responses that your opponent could have to take care of it by the time it gets to your turn in order to do it, right? So, like, that's why it's kind of mid-tier on my list, but it has to be built into, like, some big Resonator greedy deck for sure.
It is probably definitely the most restrictive of the secondary effects in terms of it takes a lot to turn this thing on. But you're right. I think, it does come with the advantage of when you hit that restriction, suddenly it is kind of the safest outside.
But when you do turn her on, she treats you good.
Yep. Okay. That's a thing that was said on my channel. Thank you very much for that.
I'm hopping now. This card is butt cheeks. If it wasn't for the green ones, I think this would easily be bottom 3. But because the green ones are so horrendously bad, this might sneak out at bottom 5. But it lets you play your stupid fucking diversity deck, and that makes it like top 5. I think. I don't know how good the diversity is actually going to end up being. I don't even know it's going to end up being a white-blue deck. But it's got the good colors.
It's okay, man. Machines are just going to play Skyfall. Machines just going to play Skyfall. It's fine.
It's a 1-mana 4/4, which is what the diversity deck wants.
I'm just saying, you just bounce the Alice. You just bounce the Alice, is what I'm saying. You just bounce the Alice and you're good. Derek, any thoughts on this one?
I'm pretty sure the only diversity deck that's going to end up being anything is going to have to be Time Spinning Witch, so that you can flip your Time Spinning Witch and then everything is barrier.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That'd be pretty decent. So personally, I'm not a huge fan of this card, mainly because Dark Alice exists. Like, if I have the option to play one card that fixes all of my stones, why would I play this one that is only for blue? And plus, Dark Alice, it cantrips, and I have the
And it's naturally quick cast. It doesn't require anything.
Like, there's no additional steps to it.
Better. Yeah, it's 1,000 times better than this.
That's the only thing. Maybe I tech one as some stupid tech versus Athenia decks that banish everything. I'm just like, in response to you playing Black Rosario, flash this in, sucker, or something like that.
Just dedicated to the sideboard. So if you play against a black deck, you just bring 4 of this in, and you're just like, okay. I'm not getting Black Rosario'd. I'm not getting Athenia comboed.
I'm 90% sure there's better cards to side deck.
Exactly. I'm just saying, that's the only benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
Using that word super loosely that I can see from this card over Dark Alice. That's
for sure. So let's move on to the next white one. We have Messenger of Odin. It is the white-black Commandment, the white-black commandment. I like this terminology more and more the more I use it. And it has the secondary text of faith, which remember is if your ruler is astral, it gains it. And it says tap, target entity you control gains eternal until end of turn. First thoughts?
I think this one's the same as the one before it. For
You just would rather play Dark.
I'd rather play Dark Alice, honestly.
That's fair.
It's hard to turn on, but I like.
Not necessarily in Brunhild, though. In Brunhild, you're naturally causing faith with the Brunhild resonator.
Yeah, but like it's the one card. It's the same thing with the Atom resonator. Like
Sure.
you're turning this card with one card. You play 40, and so you got 10% chance of seeing it, right? You got to mull hard and build around it.
You've got a
So, like-
77% chance of seeing it if you mulligan 5.
Yeah, if you mulligan around it, build your deck around it. Like this is again something that just naturally doesn't flow into a deck, right? But if it does turn on, this is the only thing that can give anything eternal. It says entity, like non-J.
It just says
No.
entity.
Yeah, it just says
entity.
entity.
Target
Stones,
entity.
J rulers, resonators, additions. Like this is good. That's a great effect. It's just it's hard to get.
I will say I like it more than the previous one, just because of the secondary effect being more relevant, I would say, and the color that it produces just being one of the strongest. In my opinion.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Derek's last event. Okay, here's what it was. Derek's last event was a black altar deck splashing white. Clearly that means that Derek's next deck has to be a white deck that splashes black.
I mean, if I can play,
clearly.
so like, I've joked around with the deck with one of the life gain Brunhild decks, and then it was mono white, except for 4 Estemas. And honestly, this might get me there. I kid you not.
Oh my goodness! I
might
can't
get
wait
me
for
there.
Arizona. I can't wait for this weekend.
I mean, obviously this one's better than the last one because white-black is just one of the stronger color combinations. But I'm not super familiar with all of the gimmicks that each color combination has right now. I know that black-whites is going astral. I'm trying to remember if there was a way to make your J ruler astral, like put an astral counter on your J ruler.
Not that officially actually makes it astral. No, the only way you can do it is put an astral counter on something with Deus Ex Machina, but it won't actually call your guy astral.
Gosh, I wasn't sure if
we
there was
already
something
talked
that,
about
like,
this though. Like Deuce, the Machina can't put counters on non-entities or take.
He can put them on J rulers. That's what he's saying. He's like
I thought there was a black-white card that said like make your ruler astral, but I don't remember if like that extended
Brunhild.
to J rulers.
It's just ruler.
Okay, then this card is pretty useless. Like this protects. So the thing that this does get going for you is it protects your Odin, because if your Odin dies in response to its own ability, you have suddenly completely fucked yourself. So this thing can
Agreed.
at least protect it there. So it does have that use,
Yeah, for sure.
but there's probably easier ways to do that anyway.
I agree. Okay, moving on. Let's go to what color do we want? Derek, what color do you want to do next?
The blue.
Blue
Actually,
ones.
let's do blue last because I know
Can we
Blue
get
last.
green out of
Okay.
the way?
We're going to get green out of the way now. So we got Acolyte of Shiva. It is the green-red commandment. And it says, banish this card, target J/res, gains +3/+3 until end of turn. So I will say that the best use of this card is that it makes Shiva more likely to do what you want Shiva to do. Because you can just, like, have them and then, like, banish before Shiva gets, like, destroys shit. So you just force the destruction from Shiva. But it's still gross because you're still 1-for-1ing for every banish, and you better have something to pump up that's not Shiva because she doesn't have a way to make swiftness.
I'm pretty sure that green-red aggro is just strictly worse than both mono-green aggro and mono-red aggro. Even if they
Probably
had
right.
perfect 10 green-red stones, I'm pretty sure mono-green aggro is just strictly better.
They get access to Ataraktia, but that's still like pretty slow in this format
Yeah, to me, this is
for
not
aggro decks.
better than Speaking Stone and having access to Rune Story and Evil Elemental Uprising.
Sure.
I would agree.
So yeah, haven't seen Shiva, and like I was praying that this green red was going to be good because I want that speed edition back in my life.
Ataraktia?
I wanted it. Oh, I wanted it so bad, and I can't. You can't. Aaron is absolutely right. This card is garbage, and you cannot make a green red deck right now.
I think this is the worst commandment.
Sweet. So
Yes.
it's Gallon.
JPK is gonna win
Yes.
Worlds with 4 of
So-
these in his deck just to call me a fucking idiot. But
So it's Gallon of the Ten Commandments. Got it. Perfect. Any other thoughts about this one? I agree. I think it's kind of the most straightforward ones, and weirdly
Yeah.
enough, like if so, I'll put it this way: if Shiva naturally had swiftness, I would give this card a little bit more credit because like you could cast Shiva, banish all 3 of these before Shiva triggers, pump her up to be super fucking huge, kill your opponent's board, and swing in for a ton of damage, all while resting 3 of this. Right, because their will production ability is just banish, right? So you could rest these 3, cast like you could do things with it. But the fact that Shiva, you'd have to go for the Ataraktia edition or randomly play high speed, which you definitely don't have room for in a green-red aggro deck right now. It just makes it like really suboptimal. There are just better aggressive strategies that you could do. That being said, look out for the deck on the channel that has 4 of this in it because we are building it.
you better
Mono
put high
green.
speed in there now.
I am gonna put high speeds in there.
Mono green Keurig, let's go.
Let's.
Make it a thing.
Yeah, you right. You right. Mono green Keurig. Okay.
Give me the name
So-
of the next commandment so I can type it in the search bar.
We have Calico Cat Shikigami, green white commandment. It says tap, put target put target non-magic stone card in a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's deck. So this can hit both players. And then its other effect is when it's put into a graveyard from the field, you get a 1/1 cat token. Whee! It sets up for janky haikus.
I'm pretty sure the tap bottom deck something is like, it's almost relevant.
I mean, Power Immortality is running around, so I mean,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is a nice
I
little.
can't say it's completely irrelevant, but at the
I
same
mean,
time,
Yeah, so like it does shut down that without having to like. I mean, if you're playing green white, you're probably still playing Speaking Stone because you don't need all 10 stones to turn into white, I would assume. So
Sure.
like you still got the threat of evil elemental, but this thing's kind of like a more convenient way to do it, where it's like, oh, it's continuously on the board at any given time. I can just do this, but that means you're not attacking with it, and that means it's just sitting here doing fuck all except making white mana. And it makes a cat when it dies. I know that like there's some cat token stuff that came out, but I don't think any of it is good enough for me to want to play this shitty skeleton horde.
I agree. I think it's clearly set up to try to work best with Kaguya, for setting up for these haiku, kick your opponent in the teeth, recover 7, draw 7 cards shenanigans. And to be perfectly honest, they spoiled Kaguya. The second effect, people were like, it's never going to happen. I immediately committed to making it happen. So seeing this means that I can make it happen more often, playing jank, so I'm about it. But I agree. It's just, you're not attacking with it, so it's just this kind of, you're wasting a will to get colors for other things, and other than that, it's just going to sit there doing nothing. I think most of I think the ones that have... that don't let you attack with them, don't let you put pressure on obviously an overstated 1-drop. Most 1-drop averages have been 3-3, although it's kind of gone up in the recent years to being this 4-4 base stat line. It's been a little disappointing. That being said, you don't necessarily have to use the tap effects, right? If there's nothing in your opponent's graveyard, sure, go ahead, swing at their face with it. You can still do that, but what it's focused on trying to do is that it's not going to be attacking, which is a little, again, if you want to be playing kind of an aggressive deck, and even a cat deck that's getting in your face with like tokens and pumping up your cats, you want to be hitting people, and this isn't doing it.
yeah, I don't think I have much more to add other than
I mean, it's probably better than Leaf Fairy in all fairness, right?
Probably.
If you, I think it's only better than Leaf Fairy if you're already splashing the other color. The green-red one is probably your replacement 1-drop for Leaf Fairy if you really cared about that. Because I know people liked the Mimi tribe that sacked itself to pump something instead of Arrowin because everybody's poor.
The other thing that you could do
me
is
no.
the other thing is that you could actually use this if you're trying to make the argument against Leaf Fairy, is that this in place of Leaf Fairy in like a Gill deck can help you mitigate shitty mills. Like if you happen
Sorry,
to
not
lose...
Leaf Fairy. I'm thinking the 4/4 fairy that says sack itself, draw a
Fairy of
card.
the Lost Isle?
Fairy
I love
of
that
the
card.
Lost
Fairy of the
Isle.
Lost Style.
That one has
Fairy of the
flying.
Lost
That's
Isle.
next.
Okay, so I was very
Flying,
confused. I was like, in a
flying.
Gill deck, recycling a shitty
Sorry,
mill
no,
sounds actually pretty decent.
No, I meant Fairy of the Lost Isle. That's my bad.
Okay. That makes sense.
Well, I'm trying to think, right? So like the Hanzo's doing the cat thing, right? And then we've got a couple other one-drop cats that bounce cats and
Also,
stuff on those lines, and pump cats and like. So
I'm not super familiar with all the cat support.
Well,
it's just Bastet that just makes all your other cats +1/+1.
So this does make this better than Fairy, though, right?
No,
like,
but since we have
that?
Kaguya, right? We have Kaguya. And so, like, the theory is that you're probably going to build a control deck with Hanzo, with Kaguya as the source. So, like, I guess the way I see it is, like, I don't need to put pressure with this. Like, maybe we can go, like, a control build with, like, the top end of Farrer's Command, you know, where we're kind of, like, low. Yeah, like, we're going back to, like...
We're just going to... Okay, if we're playing Farrer's Command, we're just playing Nature's Beauty. You're incorrect.
All right,
playing Farrer's Command, we're just playing
How are you getting Nature's Beauty with a 4/4? Like, no, screw that. Like, and you're playing control.
I don't think having a 2 or 3 mana counter spell necessarily makes me want to build a control deck. Do you know what was the best deck to ever play Seal of Wind and Light? Alice's World.
Yep.
We hit turn 5 and we're like, I only have like 1-drop Gwyber. I have Seal open.
Sounds great.
Oh man, the days.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't know if there's anything else that I want to say about this card in particular. I don't think so. Moving on. Let's see here. Oh, I do have one more thing to say. Like, pour one out for the fact that Hanzo is not a resonator in this set. Hanzo has been printed in one form and never again. Same with Fushi, but Fushi was less relevant. Like, Hanzo and Fushi totally got hosed. They didn't get any second appearance at all. All the other 8 rulers were like, yo, what up? Not Hanzo.
I'll be honest, I sometimes forget Fushi is a ruler.
That's
I'll
fair.
Be completely honest.
That's fair. So does everyone, including Aaron, until he got paired up against a green-red Fushi that scared the shit out of him.
It was just a Hanzo deck with Fuji as the ruler. He played. I'm like, okay, Fuji, you know, I can handle this. And then he's like, oh yeah, like turn 2 Lorite, turn 3 7 disciples. And I'm like, hold on, that's not fair. You're a red ruler.
Okay, so we're saving blue for last. So speaking of red, do we want to go red or do we want to go black?
Yeah, we can go red.
Red it is. So we've already kind of talked about the red-white commandment, Desert Miner. Its bonus effect is you can banish it to put a Fire Moon Edition token into the field. I actually like this banish effect probably the most out of any of them, particularly because once again, it kind of is turning this. It actually is turning into a ramp card, right? And Isis is probably going to be the deck that can keep its protection around the most to be able to keep its red-white as mostly consistent. So with the fact that they stick the 3-drop Isis, and then they generate one a moon right then, and then this guy, if they try to threaten, it immediately becomes permanent red-white production just by itself. You can go in and get aggressive with this card because it's just a banish. Like, I actually think this guy's probably in the upper ends of these commandments, just because of the fact that it's gonna make it so that like Isis decks are gonna get weird in terms of what they can play when they're doing these red-white shenanigans.
So personally, I think this card is in my top 3, to be completely honest.
Sure. Why is that?
So reason being, from what I've seen, people have probably been looking around the Facebook group and just watching all the deck posters deck pictures of Lars doing some crazy stuff and all these moons everywhere, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But like, so after seeing like some of his board states and then seeing this, and then you just managed to produce a moon edition, it makes you think. It's like, all right, so I play this on 1. Something on 2, and then play Isis on 3. Like, you get Nyarlathotep, you get a Moon Edition, and then like if they try to like do something in response to Isis or like try to kill her, like, you can just banish this to get a fire to get an addition, and then,
which then immediately
like, protection
white.
Yeah, like to me that just seems pretty dang good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, red-white Isis definitely got the top end of mana fixing going into this set. I just don't know how good it's going to turn out. We don't have any mass addition removal at this moment, so
correct.
You've got like 1 into only.
The only other thing
And I
that's really
think that's
interesting about
it.
this, the only other interesting thing that
Thanks,
is about
yeah.
this card is that the new rune that becomes a 1 cost that can produce that produces moons. So like you could even like turn this guy into 2 moons. Like banish, produce a moon, use that moon, produce a second moon. So like you can ramp pretty fast.
Oh, you can ramp really fast if you've got out the thing that makes all of your moons turn into, stones, basically, and then you play the dude that kills people, the one that like
Sorter.
sacks 9 moons to make your opponent go home
Gnarl.
crying.
Gnarl.
Yeah, Gnarl.
Yellow.
Gnarl, because like if you have out the dude that makes them all produce mana, then Gnarl essentially just comes in and double the amount of moons you have if you pay the 3 mana for her, and then you tap all of your moons for the awakening to produce that many more moons. And then you just have like 50 moons out there, and then I go, oh, it's my turn. I go 1 and only, and then 2 Vivians, and it's like, oh, look, I won the game. But if I don't do that, then like you probably clap my cheeks, and then I go home crying.
It's just
'cause
the
I
new
lost to
IU.
Isis.
It's just the new IU. You gotta respect it.
I get put on a list because I go and like rant about ISIS in 5 different group chats, and all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg showing up at my house the next day, like, "Hey man, what's going on? We need to talk."
Interestingly enough, every single video this channel puts up that has ISIS in the title immediately gets demonetized, and I have to request a review. Thanks, YouTube.
Somebody got their PayPal account locked because they sold an ISIS, and somebody gave them money and said for ISIS.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Josh, you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I think I'm with Derek. It's top 3 for me. Anything that, especially in a red deck, like you're just gonna apply pressure with this. You're gonna swing free. It's a lot like a pig. It has a banished effect that does exactly what you want to do in the deck. So it's 4 free damage every time unless it's answered, and then it just sets up your moon plays.
Yeah, if not.
Going for it.
Yeah,
so
nice.
simple. It's best 3.
Moving on to the cutest of them, the red-blue commandment, Tiny Fire and Water Dragon. It gains swiftness if we have a dragon emblem fire. It gains flying if we have a dragon emblem water, and it becomes a 7/7 if we have a dragon emblem vermilion. Once again, as far as we know, dragon emblems are like items. I don't think they're additions. So at this point in time, I don't know if there's a way to destroy them once you get a vermilion.
Probably not.
So these are just casually, and I think that's the reason why I like this card is because it just eventually becomes a 1-drop 7/7 swiftness flying. Like,
House looked really cool. Soul was a red blue deck that I thought, yeah, this is it, man. This is the red blue I've been waiting for.
and then it wasn't.
It wasn't.
No,
I'm not ready to get hurt again. I'm not. I can't play this card. It looks good on paper, but it's red blue, and I don't touch that anymore.
And the thing to note is that in order to get a vermilion, so you only have to drop. The perfect curve for this is sometime on turn 1 or turn 2. You play this guy so that you have access to blue. Turn 3, you play the High God, and you're playing Fushi. That gives you red and blue immediately. And then the next turn, you play the Dragon God Emperor or whatever, gets you vermilion. So like the soonest you're hitting vermilion in this deck is turn 4.
And I can't even play anything that turn.
And you just have to play the big old dragon.
The problem is that this strategy, like I've been trying, because I love the red side of the High God, right? The like, let's just make all of your red sources do way more than they should, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it is exactly that. The deck is just such a simple curve deck that leaves up no chance of interaction that like every deck in the meta should be able to handle it. So it sucks, but I'm pretty sure Fuji is still gonna suck.
The best red-blue deck is still and has been for the last year Kirik Ririk because it has Pathway Part. It's the only red-blue card that matters, and it blew red-blue out of the format for as long as that card is legal.
Roderick Sykes saying, slap that Sandora's Invasion in Fuji and hit that godly curve.
Wouldn't you want that Flame Dragon, or no, what's that rune called? Dragon Summoning?
Yeah,
so that on 4
but,
you guarantee to get the
vermilion.
Get the dragon.
Yeah. You can just
same
play
concept
summoning.
though. It's just on.
And you
4,
burn something
you're
burn something for 8 while doing it, so that's not terrible. Is the High God a High God dragon or just a High God?
Just a High God.
Rip. If it was a high god dragon, that'd be like really pretty dope.
Well,
then you
I
could
mean,
like, because then we
it's
could
fine,
do,
though.
because then you could do Welser into high dragon summoning and get both big
Get
boy
both.
dragon and dragon high god all at once. Burn 2 things and just be like, snap! Suddenly I have Vermilion. But can't do it.
I don't have any
today.
cards
I
left
mean,
in hand, but I've got
Fushi's
my
first-
Vermilion.
Fushi's
All you
first
needed was
master
all you
run
need was
the-
Welser. You just need Welser and summoning from Rune Deck. That's all
Yeah.
you need.
Doesn't it put them into play from hand?
No, it
Oh,
puts
what's
them into
from
play from deck.
buddy? Search.
Oh, so I still have a hand. It's just boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still true.
I mean, if you got
We
four
do,
of
it is
those,
very important to remember that we do still have a 1-mana red card that says destroy target dragon.
It's true. That is also a true
that doesn't
thing.
exist. No one plays
It
that
does.
card.
It's why Viola's not the god that she's supposed to be.
So what you're saying is Alice Zeus incarnate actually just sucks.
Oh, that's true. She could just... Although she has Eternal, so not really. So, anything else we want to say about Cute Boy Dragon?
He's
I
not as
wish.
cute as Mars.
It's a bait.
Okay, we moving into the black green. Black green commandment, onlooking vampire. Usual effects. He says, when harvest or corrupt is chosen, if you chose harvest, you get +1/+1 and drain, and if you chose corrupt, you get +1/+1 and bane.
Got that drain bane.
It's pretty good. It's
I definitely don't hate it, especially since, unless I'm dumb,
You need
there
it for
are
Athenia.
quick cast cards that get to pick Harvest or Corrupt.
there's a rune.
Yep.
A rune
Okay,
chant
so if,
that can
like
do
if
it.
my opponent swings into this, then I could be like, oops, surprise, it's got Bane all of a sudden.
Because also you can choose. I think the corrupt. No, it's harvest gives you eternal, right? For that spell.
Yeah.
You know, I'm picking both anyway. I'm gonna have that girl out at all times.
You have Athenia out at all times.
Yeah,
Turn zero.
I'm
Athenia.
always getting both.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I think that without it, Athenia is literally unplayable in terms of any kind of consistent method. I think that this card existing is gonna be the thing that makes like consistent Athenia a thing. Sure, yes, you don't get okay. You can get her with altar, blah blah blah.
I was
blah.
gonna say.
Yeah, you can get anything with altar, so blah 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 blah. Outside of that jank shit, this is the way that you're actually going to get Athenia to be playable. So something like this had to happen. I am very much glad that it is black splash green and not green splash black, because I don't really want to go into a green black control meta again, where it's just like, oh, what up? I have the best removal and all the best counters. Let's go. Can we not? Can we not go back into Sherry again, please?
I don't know. I don't mind Sherry. I'd play some Sherry again.
But I do like the
Red
fact.
Sherry, shut the hell up.
I also
That's what I said. It said I'd play Sherry again.
I also just like the fact that, again, this is one of the ones that its effect doesn't require you to not go aggressive with it. And in fact, it's better in a sense because you're probably always going to have at least it being a 5/5 drain minimum if you're swinging in. Or worse comes to worse, it's a 5/5 Bane, and your opponent, because Bane also kills J-Rulers. So, like, that's relevant. So I think I'd probably put this guy in top 3. Worst case scenario, I'd put him in 4th place of the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I definitely think he's top 5, but I think that's just because he fixes black. Like, I don't think it actually has a
Yeah.
whole lot to do with his secondary effect.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the secondary effect, like we'll have to see how much harvesting and corrupting you're actually doing. But like the biggest thing is I'm looking at this and I don't know how to protect it or move it in any way, like to like.
I mean,
Just
I
not
think it's
hit.
just that you are in the color that has March of the Dead and Command of Life and Death. Just like, I don't have to protect it. I'll just keep getting it back. Especially because, like, it's the color that ramps the most. So, like, I can bring this back for, like, let's say I pay 3 mana for March and get this and something else. I probably still have, like, 4 mana to play with while and, like, some of them are green
Suddenly
now.
now it's called green. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Just hold up Fair Spell and Low Right and whatever else.
Don't have to use Mana Transmuter anymore. Still going to be using Mana Transmuter.
I'm still gonna use that guy.
Yeah, that boy ramps.
Okay, So we'll go into the other one, Belisarius, but not, aka the or the black-red commandment, Fallen Angel of Fiery Vengeance. He has tap, search your deck for himself and put it into your hand, and then you can pay 200 life and banish him from the graveyard to deal minus 400 defense to target J/Resonator.
The tap effect is banish him, right?
The tap effect is tap, banish,
that's
search. Tap, banish, search.
Yeah.
I think this guy's top 3. And easily number 1 in both name and art.
Can't tell if serious or not.
Definitely number 1 for name and art. And then I think he actually is top 3. Because, like, I mean, it's deck thinning.
Sure.
And, like, black-red has been, like, the most consistent 2-color combination for a long, long time.
Sure.
And I think the ability to just, like, all right, you know, I don't necessarily need him to stick around because I actually have black-red stones. And I'm probably not playing, like, too many red cards because red is a really shitty splash color. Depending on, you know, the black-red actual support. But for the most part, like, just a one-time thin 4 cards out of my deck and get pay 800 life minus 16 to something, which is actually probably going to be 2 -8 spread out over 2 different things. So, like, it's just 4 mana over the course of a game to invest in killing 2 things later on.
Sure.
And potentially
That's a good point.
Jays too. Like it doesn't just target resonators. So like
Yeah, and Lucifer gives me back all the life I paid, so like that might even end up being irrelevant.
Yeah, no, this is just a good card to have around. It does everything that you want to do. Plus, it has the additional effects for being gone.
I've also just been a huge fan of things that let me manipulate my own life total, specifically for cards like it's not seeing a lot of play, but Little Red Riding Hood.
Yep.
The 3-man or Dark Red Riding Hood.
I love Dark Red Riding Hood.
The ability to like, just ping myself for 800 out of nowhere. Oh look, suddenly my Belial's 3 mana, or my Red Riding Hood's online, and then like I get to throw down a Lucifer because I only spent 3 mana on Belial, and now I get all my life back. I think it's got some really cool implications, even though you're not going to do this the same turn you Belial.
Right,
but
but it's the same. It's the same thing. I think the thing that gives him the most strength is in the same vein of the red white commandment. Is it's just kind of this like utility banish effect that like doesn't stop you from doing what you were already wanting to be doing. Where you're just like, okay, now you constantly have to respect the fact that I've got 2 of these engraved now, right? Like I can just pay 4 life and like pop something, and it's just gonna sit there, doesn't cost me anything, and you constantly have to put that into your calculations. And I think that's what gives this guy so much strength. It's just kind of like he's gonna sit there passive. Your opponent's gonna forget about it. They're gonna walk into a misplay, and you're gonna capitalize on it and win the game. And even outside of that, you're gonna win trades and all kinds of crazy crap.
Even if you just throw this into like current aggro Lucifer decks, the fact that it has the creature typing Fallen Angel is so relevant because it means it doesn't die to Belial.
Correct.
I could easily see this replacing Skeleton Horde.
I can see that too. In the aggro packages, yeah, for sure.
In the aggro, well, I don't think the other decks are running Skeleton Horde. Actually, some of them were because they like to double stack the altar. Don't do that.
So I think the point that I like about this is that since it's negging the defense by 4, it actually just kills all of the other 10 commandments.
Yeah, it also kills all the other 10 commandments randomly.
Relevant.
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting. Okay, we're gonna move. Do we end with Clockwork Girl or do we go to Clockwork Girl next? Aaron, thoughts?
I don't know which one that is. Let's go to Clockwork Girl.
Clockwork Girl is the machine one.
That's the machine that you.
Do we end on machines?
Yeah, might as well because I got a lot to say about machines.
Okay, sounds good.
Both of these are
so
bananas.
We're gonna go to Shadow of Chronos. He is the blue-black commandment. He has barrier.
Oh yeah, he does.
And he just says, he says, tap, look at the top card of your deck, you may put it into your graveyard. Weirdly enough, this card is like the only one that I think is super relevant for text that it has before the filter. Like, the barrier is insanely relevant for this card. It is going to be super tricky, and it's just going to make Loki be like, yeah, okay, well, perfect Loki constantly, let's go. So the fact that this thing has barrier, I think, is probably its most defining trait. The scrying one every turn, I think, is also pretty relevant there, just because, you know, you want to maybe try to draw into other copies of Fenrir. The other thing is, too, is it's looking at the top of your deck, so if perfect Loki's on board, tapping this can turn into a Fenrir coming out onto the board, if Fenrir happens to be on top of your deck.
Okay, I
there's-
knew there was something that had an effect from when this card is put from your deck into a grave, or from your graveyard into
Perfect form
deck
Fenrir.
into-
form.
Yeah,
Final
perfect
I was
form.
trying to find it, and I didn't think it
Final?
was Fenrir, but it is Fenrir.
Yeah, it's
Final
final
form.
form Fenrir. Yeah, triple
Excellent.
F. Good old triple F. Yeah, I think
Just
this is going to be
instant speed
crazy.
It's gonna be great.
Instant speed potential Fenrirs.
Right? Yeah. Of course.
I like to point out that the very interesting. So I'd like to point out a couple of things. Interestingly enough, the best answer to perfect Loki is Loki's insight. 'Cause you can just do it in response to judgment. So that like
I was
judgment
pretty
Loki.
sure the best answer to perfect Loki is Sealing Scroll.
Well, no, that's the best answer to. Well, you still have to deal with the board wipe at that point in time. But like the best answer to perfect Loki is to go. They go judgment, paying black, and you go cool. Loki's insight. Look at your hand. Oh, you have 2 perfect Lokis. I'm gonna discard both of those. Congrats. Now you flipped over Loki.
Before they have 3, you played yourself.
If they have a 3rd one and I've successfully removed 2, I'm feeling pretty okay, Derek.
Until they've built 4 Fenrirs, and you're just like, ah, shit.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's fine. It's
Alright,
fine.
so,
It's fine. I have Athenia on board. I'm gonna pay 1 green. I'm gonna put it all back in the deck. We're
The
great.
perfect
There you
Loki
go.
rune deck is coming together. We got Harvesting Season. We got the Giants. We probably don't run Mystery Box. I'm never getting that much mana. We got
We got Loki's insight, and we're gonna play
And
Consume.
Ocean Beam.
An Ocean Beam. Oh, jeez, Louise.
I just really want to play Harvesting Season.
Well, you can in Perfect
Yeah,
Loki.
you
There you
can.
go.
I'm gonna hit 2 Fenrirs, and it's like, haha, now you have to board wipe. And next turn, the Giants come out.
Well, the problem is you're gonna Harvesting Season, but then you're gonna be like, oh shit, I haven't judgmented yet. Rip.
They're all
Wait,
gonna
let's
go to
just play
my
this yet.
What
Do you,
have
have
I
a,
done?
do you have any cards that put cards on top of the deck?
You have a couple, but
not-
they were.
I don't know if any of them let
Set.
you put
from
a
hand.
like a specific card on. Like I know there's a few that like put themselves on top, but I don't think there's anything
Okay.
that.
The
I didn't
giant.
think
So
put
the
something on top.
blue giant gets to look at top 4, for his discard effect. The blue
Yeah,
giant
Rachel.
does. So
Rachel,
that's
top
something.
3.
Rachel lets you look at top 3. Other than that, though, no. Not to go back
Yeah,
to
I
the
don't-
top.
I don't-
Everything goes back to the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I guess you could play. What is it? The scouting rune, right? Isn't there the
Oh, reconnaissance.
4C.
reconnaissance?
Yeah,
Hold on.
reconnaissance.
You play
4C3.
reconnaissance.
I love the card, actually.
This guy is easily the worst flavor text.
Which
Chronos.
So
one?
for those that can't read it, it says Chronos. Soon it'll be your time to take the stage as well. Perfect Loki. No, it fucking won't, Loki, because the cluster's over. There aren't any more cards coming out that have anything to do with any of this. So no, it's not Chronos' turn next.
Dude,
it's
tell
never
that
gonna
to
be Chronos'
Valentina.
turn.
How many sets? How many clusters did she keep coming
And she's
out of?
coming back next time.
She's
But
coming back.
Chronos is gone forever.
Oh man, no, I'm interested to see what comes out of it. In terms of just the consistency that Perfect Loki brings, and how people are going to try to counter it.
Mhm.
I am a little worried about weird stacking with Judgment Thing in terms of getting a crap ton of perfect Fenrirs out really fast. That's going to be real weird, and then Giants from nowhere. But we'll see. So right now you can bring. What was it? You can bring. There's one for each color. There's 7 giants right now, technically, because we have Surtur.
There's only 6.
There-
I thought one of them was
And
like,
then
no,
one of
there's
them
the
is
sand
Alice.
giant and then the dolphin, right?
And then no, the sand giant.
Oh,
The
Alice.
dolphin's not an Alice. Alice is a giant.
There's also
was it a
Giant
bunny?
of the Mist, a 9/9 that goes away.
Is it
when
a
you
giant?
target it.
Is that
Yeah,
a
you
giant? Oh my
you
gosh!
target it
We
with
play an
something
8.
that goes
We're gonna
away.
play
Oh,
8.
never mind. His name is just Giant Rabbit. It's not actually a giant.
No, yeah.
Oh
You've got-
goodness.
Oh, dude, Vrathnasnir is a giant? Oh, hell yeah. Guy got some wondrous spice going on.
Okay, so with
We got
that, let's go on to Clockwork Girl.
Yeah.
Clockwork Girl.
Good.
It is the
Yeah.
1-drop 0/0 blue-green commandment. She enters with 4+1/+1 counters on her, and she says when she's put into a graveyard from the field, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a machine resonator, reveal it and put it into your hand.
I think that's gotta be the best secondary effect because it actually gives you card advantage.
I agree.
And like Mystery Box still in the deck, so you know I'm playing like 30 fucking machines.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Especially now that you have Deus Ex too. You're just gonna be playing like nothing but machines in that deck now.
Yeah, like I could easily see, especially with this, because you're mulliganing for 1-drops, I think it's not unreasonable to play like it's kind of hard to say because like you do have so many 1-drops, your turn 1 feels so important, but I was trying to think like, could I get away with running like 2 green stones in a machine deck to play my Yokai Festival? But I'm not sure, and I think 1 might be too little.
Do you just play this over Donut Drone? Like, does this just replace Donut Drone?
I don't think so. I think you just wanted more one. So the problem with machines is their 2-drops suck.
Agreed.
And I could see you playing like no 2-drops and just going hard on the 1-drop package.
Well, you want to play Arthur. Arthur's a 2-drop.
Yeah. I know that like there are some new ones that are pretty good, and like you don't want to get hosed by black tiers, so like you can't go all in on 1-drops. But maybe you don't play the Yokai package just because you don't want to get super hosed by black tiers.
Sure.
So it's too slow. You don't get enough of your machine. Like a lot of the stuff, like the machine deck was almost perfect when you went Vivian, Guinevere, and then I think a second Guinevere, right? Then by turn 2, you had the mana to go for the Sky Fortress, I think, you had the stones,
the 12
counters to go for the Sky Fortress, right? But that was the only way to do it before, and you had to use maintenance and all this crap, right? That was the fastest way to get to 12. Now you've got stuff entering the field with these counters. So like,
wait a minute, hold on. Sorry, I hate to interrupt. Ryan Miles being here in the chat, talking about you don't need 2-drops because you just play 2 1-drops on turn 2 for machines. So we already said that, Ryan. We already said it. You're not on the podcast anymore. Stop talking.
Yeah, I've replaced you. I have the biggest. I'm playing 3 1-drops on turn 2.
we energize him. Let's do it.
But yeah, so these 1-drops that are entering the field, and I think even there might be something for that 2-drop 5/5 that enters the field with the 5+1 counters, even though like it doesn't do anything afterwards or something along those lines. The fact that it enters with 5+1/+1 counters.
Wait, isn't that like the broken as shit one that like says remove 3 counters, draw a card, and refills its counters to 5 every turn?
No, that's Arthur. That's Arthur.
Okay.
But he is. Yeah, no, he's awesome too. But I was talking about it's this other rare.
Yeah, it's like a 5 that becomes a 10.
It's a 2-drop 10.
It can't attack. It doesn't recover unless it has a something counter on it.
A counter that only Deus Ex Machina can give him because it's some magical thing that you just have to call.
This card enters the field with
counter?
5 1/1 counters. As long as there is no directive counters on this card, it doesn't recover during its controller's recovery phase.
Yeah, so you have
it's just
to
a 2-mana 10/10.
So you have to.
It's a 2-mana 10/10. So it's a lot like Frankenstein, but then with the machines also doing +1/+1 counter stuff. I think there could be some there, but
for what it's worth, the flavor text on this card is they wait for Deus Ex Machina to give them their instructions.
Perfect.
I think the interesting thing that is going to be what's going to make or break Deus Ex is how consistently you get him to a decent amount above 10, because he only gets activations while he's above 10 down to 9. Right? So like you want to maximize those activations. So ideally you want your Deus Ex to be like 13, 14, 15 counters, which means you're looking to try to remove 7, 8, 9 counters from stuff.
I feel like that's really easy nowadays.
And I think that with Clockwork Girl, that suddenly becomes significantly easier because she naturally has 4, right? So there's 4 right there, and she's making it so that we can play Deus Ex. And then when you play Deus Ex, you probably don't need green anymore, so you just burn her. Remove the 4 counters, she dies, you go get another machine off the top. Thanks. So like that's
like if you just go turn 1 her, turn 2 the machine core, and then like turn 3 Deus Ex, like if you take all the counters off the machine core, Deus Ex is already at 10. If you take the 4 off the 1-drop as well, then you have 18.
Yep,
you can put the counter on your dude.
Yeah, so it's like
give him back some +1/+1s.
And you still have 1 mana open.
One will open, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I don't hate that.
I don't hate it either. I'm
excited
for all these.
Fucking Gucci.
Good.
You're never getting it. All right, Lorites, dead. Lorite's in the ground because you're never getting enter. I'm negating all of your enter abilities with 10 mana or 10 counter Lancelots. And I'm gonna have 50 counters on the field. You ain't getting shit, homie. Lorite, your Lancelot. I'll pay 10 counters to negate the Lorite too.
Rolling deep. Oh, I love it.
I wonder if they had any foresight. Does Lancelot say you can only use that ability once per turn?
Nope.
Hell no.
You wish it did.
10.
I've got 90 counters. Let's go.
I got 90 counters. Play a resonator. Do it.
Do it. You will not. You will not.
Find me
It's
in the
interesting,
fucking corner,
though,
like using $1 bills as fucking 1/1 counters. Like, yeah, Lancelot. Pull out the money machine. Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
Goodness.
Yeah, this machine deck's going to be interesting because as we're talking about it, but like the greed to move all to one, like I don't know if there's more value leaving it spread out.
I mean, he can spread them out himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only down to 9.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably want like my big 2-mana guy. Plus, like he doubles the amount of counters. So like, if I have 9 on board and then I play him, I can just put the 9 back, and then he's still a 9/9.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
It's just a matter of if I don't think the counters go away if they Lorite it. I would hope not. That would just ruin everything. I'll never get enough counters to stop Lorites with that attitude.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, I, for one, am just super excited for all the crazy jank that's going to get buildable and played with all these cards. I know that we have the Arizona GP this weekend, and I really hope to see many of you there. Derek, I'm going to see you there, yeah?
Yeah, buddy.
Dope. Aaron, I'm not seeing you there. Josh, you're going to Toronto, so that's
Canada,
also
baby.
this weekend. So please, we're going to be streaming the Arizona GP here, so definitely check us out on the channel here on Friday and Saturday. I don't think they're doing anything streaming-wise for Canada, but good luck to Josh. Derek doesn't need luck because he already has an invite, but it's coming anyway.
We're going for number 2.
He's going for it.
All right, for what it's worth, Deus Ex is an as this card enters the field.
Yeah.
It's
So I
not
don't think
Loritable.
you can Lorite it.
No,
cannot.
not
You
at
can't
all.
lower
There's
it
no
then.
interaction.
What about the
Nope.
movement of counters?
You
though?
can. You can Lorite
No.
the movement. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, the movement, but one at a time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it just stays on him, and I'm like, all right, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wait a
it's not
minute.
cost.
Oh, it's not cost.
Either.
Yeah,
Never mind.
It's not cost.
So
I
the
don't
short
think.
answer, no, you can't.
I learned with Royal Oppression Value,
tell-
man.
I'll
When they're
tell
like,
my
press it, and I'm
opponent,
like, all
yes, you
right,
can.
do it again. Nothing happened.
So,
Oh man.
with that out of the way, Ed, it's time for us to say goodnight. This has been a wonderful conversation. Super happy to have so many people active in the chat. That has been tons of fun. And looking at these new cards and getting excited about what brings here. I will say this, so I can't tell much details about it because we're still looking to lock it in. But I'm not saying that you should make a space on your calendar for October 12th of this year. But I am saying that you should probably make space and look into maybe coming into the Detroit area of Michigan on October 12th of this year. I'm not saying that, but I'm also saying that. So, like, you know what I mean. More details coming soon, but we'll leave you with that. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you feel like checking and supporting what we do here on the channel, getting better quality content, all kinds of stuff, click that join button down below. It goes directly to support the channel. And until next time, we'll see you this weekend. There will be no lounge next week because we'll all be recovering. I'll be especially recovering from traveling back from Arizona. But until next time, this has been myself, Demo73, and I have been joined by Aaron Miles, who may or may not still be playing Hearthstone.
I turned it off for the podcast.
Josh Patton, and the ghost of Derek Muganeza. And
See
we'll
ya.
see you all next time. So until then, class dismissed.
Now Hearthstone's back.